In our past conversations, you talked about innovating around customer problems. And you started the answer to that question by saying we have to innovate. And we tend to think about innovating within our own technology, what we're delivering. But when you talk about problems, and we're never going to have all the solutions, but we want to be that solution, that guide, the problem solver for our customers, thinking beyond our own tech and our partners and how we bring that together in innovating around the customer problems, even if we are not equipped to solve every single one of them. What does that take? In order to do that, that's training beyond our own technology, that's finding the right partners, that's integrating the right partners in a practical way. How do you get that done? How do you implement something like that?
Yeah, I mean, if I get the question, you're talking more about that. How do you focus on the problem itself rather than the technology? I think the first and foremost important aspect is technology is just an enabler and not the driver. And of course, I think all your innovations are driven around technology, but there are a lot of other factors as well in terms of the market needs and also the future trends. I think there are so many other factors also contributing towards this change. And towards that, I think the first and foremost, what we need to understand is that the why part is more important, which is the problem which you're trying to solve, rather than the what, which is the technology. And from that aspect, I think the innovation should be around what I would call it as a customer centric innovation rather than your product innovation. I think customer centric innovation would be the key to be a successful model here. And that can happen only from that mindset shift of that customer, putting your customer first is more important in that journey. And I think that can happen through knowing your customers well, understanding their problems, spending time with your customers. And those are the things which is more important to make sure that you understand the customers well. And then you focus on developing your own product. So I think in simple terms, the focus should be around solving the problem, not just on these functions and features from your product perspective. I just remember in one of my conversations with the customer during a renewal, the customer was jokingly saying, okay, you guys keep coming with so much of features in every release, but I'm not even using that. So why don't you give me a 10% discount? So I think it was more of a funny conversation. But when you think right here, it's all the new business model, paper per use, and I'm not using what you provide, but why can't I pay for what I'm using it? So I think that's where the business model is also moving, especially from subscription business perspective. Again, I'm going to talk about some of the examples which probably all of us know. You take this example about Netflix or Amazon or Ubers. I mean, technology is one aspect of it, but the commonality of all these guys is that they try to solve a problem. Netflix solved a problem of accessing the media content, which was not easily accessible to customers. And similarly, if you look at Amazon, try to solve the problem in terms of getting the products much easier than what you need to do before. Similarly, if you look at Uber, was trying to solve the problem of inconvenience of booking the rides. So I think the commonality here is you're solving a customer problem, and then what you do is through the technology. So I would say that focus more on the customer problems and the customer pain points, and that will help you to drive towards the innovation and the technology.